just simply the tribe leader here of the Generate group. I hope you guys are enjoying this Facebook group. I've been seeing a lot of interaction in the comments. By all means, if you have a question, a marketing idea, a CRM system that you're trying to vet, throw it in here. Like somebody in this group has experience with something you're dealing with, thinking about purchasing, thinking about embarking on some new mission in your lead generation, marketing, or sales career. So if you've got some questions about sales, marketing, technology, put them here. We'd love to see it. Like to know that this isn't just a one-way conversation. So also, if you're watching this, do me a favor, click that little likey button a bunch of times, leave a comment just so other people know in the group know that these videos are worth watching. Obviously, we're reviewing my copy of Lead Generate 61 Days to Double Your Pay. I'm kind of partial to the author because that's me. We are kicking off on day 53, and this is maybe one of my more controversial chapters in the book. And by the way, you don't have to agree with me, but this is my take on it, right? Let me grab some more iced tea because it was a long morning. All right, day 53. Work-life balance is an illusion. Work-life balance is an illusion. 3 things happened on the day that I was writing this chapter in what you could call coincidence or fate or the universe speaking to me. The following things occurred. This was one of the 8 chapters that I outlined a month ago and planned to write today on the day that I was writing this book. One of my coaching clients sent me an email asking about work-life balance, and I posted a video response in our private coaching Facebook group. In general, she was wondering, how do I juggle the loan origination, the management that I was previously doing, the coaching, the family, writing a book. Spoiler alert, I cut out the management, one that wasn't bringing me a lot of fulfillment. I wasn't passionate about it. It wasn't particularly profitable. And as much as I enjoy building groups like this, and I enjoy coaching people, and I enjoy giving out knowledge, actual management, doing the HR stuff, checking off the boxes on the time cards and filling out the promotion sheets and all that stuff, I really just don't have a passion for it. Like, I love being a loan officer and helping people get loans closed. And truthfully, that's where most of the money is in the loan origination business, right? You don't make as much money being a manager. And I love coaching. I love giving back to people. I love being kind of like an intellectual philanthropist and sharing anything that I've learned through coaching. That's why I wrote this book. I love helping anybody I can improve their business and their life. But what I found when it came to managing it all is the time that I was giving up in my other endeavors, being a good father, being a good husband, being a better coach, being a better loan officer, being a better partner to my realtors, that was all diminished by the management stuff I had to do. So I actually gave that up. And then on that same day that I was writing this chapter, as I write this, I was currently locked in a hotel room, or I was locked in a hotel room in Huntington Beach, totally ignoring my family for 3 days and ignoring my business while I finished this book. No work-life balance here whatsoever. I was finishing this damn book and I locked myself in a hotel room for 3 days to get it done. Just to give you some backstory, this book came out about 2 years ago, and the book had been a work in progress for like 5 years. I had taken some keynote speeches and some coaching calls I had done and some guest spots that I had done on other people's podcasts and had those transcribed. I had written a couple 100,000 words. I had some blog posts. I had some random ideas. I had some start and stops on a book. For example, this book is about 34,000 words. Your average business book is between about 30,000 and 50,000 words. Your average fiction book, like a Twilight series book or the Hunger Games series books, they're between about 50 and 60,000 words. When I originally sat down to clean this up, I had something like 300,000 or 400,000 words, and everything was just a jumbled mess. And so I did what most people should do when they're trying to get over something that they've been working on a long time. I hired a writing coach, and I told my wife and my kids at the time were not quite old enough to understand what I was talking about, but I was like, hey, I need to go away, lock myself in a room for 3 days and just write, just follow my outline and get this done. Totally out of balance. So I am here to tell you that I believe that this idea of work-life balance is a myth created by gurus who don't know any better, right? And I gave some pretty brutal examples in this chapter, and this is maybe where it got a little controversial. That businessman that you follow on Facebook who makes all the right moves, he currently might be $1 million in debt or declaring bankruptcy. the spiritual leader or perfect family man or woman who you follow on Facebook, but you were completely shocked when they got divorced because they were cheating or they were having extramarital affairs or something of that nature, right? The 55-year-old Iron Man, the kind of modern day CEO overachiever who does triathlons on the weekend and runs this Fortune 500 client or Fortune 500 company. You never know. Maybe their kids hate them because they never spend any time at home. The super nice guy at church who always seems to be doing something for the community. He's always giving back. Who knows? Maybe he became that person because on his third DUI, he finally found God or he found AA or something of that nature. Like, you really never know what's going on behind the scenes on somebody else. So this idea that you're going to have perfect work-life balance, it's pretty much a myth. And for a lot of people, it's just bullshit that they're using to sell you on stuff. So anyone who claims to have it figured all out, anybody who claims to have it all figured out is either lying to you or they're probably just delusional and lying to themselves, right? Most likely you're reading too much into their social media persona because everyone has their baggage, their demons, their flaws. It's our job as members of society to know what our baggage is and hopefully show up with like a suitcase of it instead of a U-Haul packed full of baggage, right? The greatest athletes in the world, the titans of business, the top producers at your company, the leaders of your church, it is highly unlikely that they are balanced, right? I mean, seriously, what does balance even mean? Have you ever heard anybody actually define it? Like, oh, it's 8 hours of work and 7.25 hours of sleeping and 0.75 hours of cuddling with my wife and 4 hours with the kids and 2 hours on personal development and 2 hours of fun. Come on, it's just an illusion, right? It's kind of a joke. So when I want to accomplish something, whether it's on a personal level with my family, whether it's here with work, whether it's in my fitness goals, I intentionally take myself out of balance, right? And I think we see this with a lot of the superstars in the world, right? It's like wherever they are, that's where they are, and they're present and they're totally out of balance, right? And that's the secret, right? The good news is there's a solution for this not being able to have work-life balance, and it's the idea of committing to being present. So whether you use meditation, spoiler alert, if you want to use meditation, you should go back and listen to our Generate interview we did with Juliana Ray. Whether you want to get private coaching, whether you want to read a book about it, whatever you want to do, turn off your cell phone, right? Turn off your cell phone, be present. So if you're going to work, right? Don't be also looking at your cell phone and also looking at Facebook and also be watching one of these Generate videos. Like, if you're going to work, set a timer. Like, I'm going to get this stuff accomplished in the next 30 minutes. I'm going to be totally out of balance. Nothing else in my life is going to matter when I focus on this, right? If you go to the beach with your kids, like I did this weekend, granted, towards the end of the day, I found myself kind of like picking up my cell phone and checking in on some emails and doing some stuff that I wish I wouldn't have. But I felt really good that for that first 2, 3, 4 hours, was totally present with the kid, was on the beach, was actually a little upset that I didn't even get any pictures of my little kids on the beach who don't get to go a whole lot, even though we live here in Southern California, because it's just a giant pain in the ass. But like, I was totally present with the kids, right? Playing in the waves, trying to take each one of them into the water and get them comfortable, building some sandcastles with them, eating some food with them on the deck in the sun, watching them do puzzles, watching my 4-year-old hit on some teenage girls, which was pretty interesting. Just being present in that moment. And like, if I miss a work phone call, if I miss a work email, that's fine. Now, of course, none of us are perfect, including myself. So I started to drift towards the end of the day a little bit back to like email and listening to a podcast on the way home instead of maybe having a longer conversation with my wife. So all of this stuff is always a work in progress. But what I would say is this idea that you're going to be totally balanced, what I think that leads to is when people try to be balanced, what I think that leads to is that when you're at work and you're in like super hardcore work mode, whether that's for 40 minutes or 4 hours or 14 hours, there's this little guilt pulling at the back of your brain saying like, well, you should really be with your family. You should be making more time for the kids. Maybe you should be taking care of your fitness. Did you get up here? Did you get up and work out this morning? We just get all of this should, right? We should be doing this. We should be doing that. We should have done this earlier this morning. And as a coach of mine likes to say, like, stop shitting on yourself, right? That doesn't do anybody any favors. And then the byproduct of living in that space is then when you're home, because you weren't out of balance and fully engaged in work and just getting shit done, when you're home with your family, you start to feel guilty that you're not working and you're looking at your text message and you're trying to have a conversation with your spouse while you're checking that email. Like, none of it is good, right? So this idea that you're going to have some type of perfect work-life balance and figure it out, it's bullshit. It's a myth. Just whatever you're doing, whatever you're present to, whether it's work, whether it's your fitness, whether it's your family, whether it's just being alone with yourself, just be present and do that at a very high level, right? I think one of the reasons fitness techniques or fitness trends like Soul Cycle, Peloton, CrossFit, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, all of this stuff has really taken off. Like think back to the mid 80s or mid 90s. There was no spinning studios. There was no CrossFit gyms. There was no Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think the reason why all of these have taken off and become so popular is because people want an excuse to be present, right? And if you're soul cycling or if you're rolling around the ground and grappling and trying to submit somebody with a front headlock, there's no opportunity whatsoever to be on your cell phone or be thinking about this thing over here or be focusing on that thing that you could be doing instead. It's like, no. It forces you to be fully present, right? So if you can find a way to do that in your workouts and then do that with your family and then do that in your business, I guarantee you that's how you start moving closer to perfection and away from chaos. And you end up, becoming the type of person who's like Elon Musk, who somehow finds enough focus and hours in his day to run 4 massively successive businesses and still guest on the Joe Rogan podcast and still make time for his family and vacation. It's really quite amazing. That guy has the same amount of hours in his days that we do, right? And so I would say throw out this idea of like, I'm going to have work-life balance, go out of balance, and whatever you're working on, be present to that and get it done. So it's Monday morning. I'm going to go be present to my team and getting my business of doing loans done. And then we'll check in later today. We've got a great interview coming and her name is Laura. Looking forward to talking to her. So tune in this afternoon if you can. It's going to be a great coaching call here in the Generate series. Do me a favor, like this video, leave a comment if there's some value for you here.